Hi, this is Dr. Stephanie Wautier, and I'm the host of Conversations with a Chiropractor. This is not a health how-to, but rather a conversation with some amazing people I've had the pleasure of being with on my journey of life. Think of it more like Tuesdays with Maury, a fireside chat, or chicken soup for the soul. Grab a cup of coffee, sit back, and enjoy this conversation with a chiropractor. Thank you so much for being on Conversations with a Chiropractor.
Thank you for having me.
So today we are going to dive fast and deep into the topic of weight. Mm-hmm. And you have recently posted that you are now at the 115-pound mark of weight loss. Mm-hmm. I would love for you to share with our listeners just your journey. Let's talk about weight.
Okay. Weight has been a huge weight to carry. And yeah, 115 pounds so far, but I don't feel like the number even matters really to me, which is very different than in the past. I think now I feel like freedom is really how I feel like I'm not carrying the weight on my shoulders and in my heart. I have always been overweight. Or I have always thought and had been treated that I was overweight. When I look at pictures from when I was a little kid, if I looked at that kid now, I wouldn't have thought that person was overweight. But I remember conversations that were being had with me that was very focused on weight. Come from a great family, loving parents, and I'm the baby of 6 kids. All of us have issues with weight or body image. We've all struggled in different ways. One of us but I know that they also struggled with self-image in their life. But everyone else, as far as being overweight, have fluctuated throughout the years. And it's been a battle. From a very young age, I remember in kindergarten or first grade, a neighbor had told me, you know what you need to do is you need to go to lunch and chew your food and spit it in a paper bag.
Wow. A neighbor said this to you.
Yeah, and it was like one of my mom's best friends. And, she was kind of a different lady, but I don't remember my mom being like, no, don't you do, it was not that. And I remember family members, saying, on New Year's Eve, I'll give you $100. And like I think I was like in 4th or 5th grade. I'll give you $100 if you can lose 100 pounds by next New Year's.
My gosh. Go ahead.
And I think like, they were trying to help, and I'm sure we're worried, and I know they wanted better for me, but yeah, that was a hard one.
Oh yeah. For that focus to be there, and for, I had some similar experiences. Like I remember my dad saying, I'll pay you $10 a day if you only eat fruits and vegetables. Or my grandmother saying, oh, honey, if you just lost 20 pounds, you could be Miss America. Like, did our parents and grandparents have some pure intentions? Probably. Was the delivery completely the worst thing that they could have ever done? Absolutely.
Yeah.
Because when you feel bad about yourself, it doesn't produce good results. It produces shame and guilt and negative habits. And then you get stuck in that. And then sometimes how do we comfort ourselves if we feel unloved? Well, drugs and alcohol isn't appropriate for a 10-year-old child, but food is, So then, I feel like even in my own self, like that became like something that I turned to when I felt so bad, so unlovable.
Yeah, and you can't control. There's not much that a kid can control in life. As parents, we kind of are able to control a lot of things for them. But what you put in your mouth and what you don't put in your mouth, that is something you do have control over. And so it has always felt like if someone asked me, who's Catherine or who's Kat, the weight is really the very first thing I think of. And I always felt invisible. No, I don't know if I don't think people saw me that way. but I felt that way. And part of it is I wanted to feel that way because I didn't want anyone to see me. But the ramification of that is that even though I might have wanted it, then I got what I wanted. And then I was invisible. Or, you know, and everything in life, I was able to blame it on weight. Some of it was definitely, yes, it was a product of my weight, of why I couldn't do X or why I wasn't good at X, Y, and Z. And some of it was just my convenient excuse. And so my weight has been something that I have put on myself and that I've allowed. But also at the same time, there's a shared responsibility in all of this. You know, like it's not just me. It's not me just being lazy or undisciplined, which is something that I always thought about myself. I thought there's something wrong with me because I can't lose the weight. Or if I did lose the weight, I couldn't lose it for long. Just, you know. And so I always felt less than. As I got older, you know, the consequences for being overweight, really, I started having to deal with those. Like, I do think not being overweight did impact my ability to get pregnant. I think there is, I mean, I know that there is a connection between weight and hormones. And so I think that played a part in that. And then in raising our son, I think that although I've always tried very hard not to make food a real focus of anything, because I didn't want food to be like the thing, and I've always tried to stay active with him and do things, I could have been more active if I felt better.
You know, it's interesting that you say you tried to have food not be the focus, but in life, food kind of is a part of family memories and traditions. And this is the dichotomous thing when you're a recovering alcoholic or a recovering drug addict or a recovering smoker. You don't ever touch a cigarette again, or you don't ever touch a drink again. But those of us who've had troubles with food and weight, we have to eat. We have to put something in our body for nutrition. So we are in that constant sort of facing our demons day to day to day, 3 meals a day, social situations, holidays. In fact, my holiday episode took me back because of smelling cardamom bread, because of this, you know, these familial traditions, these spices, so, you know, then there's this thing that you're depriving yourself of pleasure. And it's such a tricky, such a complicated thing, you know?
Yeah, that dance, hey, of like, food isn't bad and it's not bad, and sweets aren't bad. But in my life, I couldn't have just one cookie. Now, that being said, I've never been someone to sit down and eat like an entire package of cookies. I think, you know, I think that in our society, we have this view of people who are obese of like, they're the ones that go through the drive-thru who are getting 3 meals and then parking somewhere and just stuffing their
binge eating. Yeah. That's
not the majority of people who are overweight.
No, not at all.
And so I've never done that. I've never sat and ate an entire thing of ice cream. Like I can't imagine that. But at the same time, I couldn't just have half a cup of ice cream in the past and been okay with that. That I think like I would have wanted more. And it was almost like, why can't I have it? And then because I couldn't have it or because I thought it was bad, then I wanted it even more. Right?
Absolutely.
I always think about like I used to work in a place where we had a pantry for young people to come and they could just come and graze and eat, right? And so there was lots of food that was donated. And my office was right there. And many times I was alone. And so that pantry would literally be talking to me in my brain all day long. It was like probably what an alcoholic would feel like if they worked in a bar. And I couldn't work sometimes because that noise was so loud, and it was horrible. So I was constantly battling that.
And the irony about weight and calories in and calories out is that I read this, like eating one cookie a day for I don't know how many whatever days or weeks makes you gain 1 pound. Like this isn't right. This isn't like binge eating. This isn't like a box of Oreos. This is like one little nibble after breakfast, or one little nibble here, or one little extra this, or as moms, oh, I finished my kids. Oh, they didn't eat this, so I'm going to finish it. I mean, I think that's probably, if I'm hearing you correctly, a little bit more of the accuracy.
Yeah.
Just a little bit here, a little bit there.
I deserve it. Like that mantra would be in my mind of like, you deserve this. You work hard. You've done, so like a reward.
Yeah.
And, but at the same time, when something bad was happening, it was also like my hug, right? So like I celebrated with food, I cried with food, I grieved with food, all of that. And then you kind of, when you get to be at a certain point with weight, then it makes it difficult to lose because you are so far in a hole mentally and emotionally and physically. So you can't do what you need to do in order to get yourself out of that hole. That was pretty much what had happened. I think once that all kind of settled down, I was fine at first with COVID. And during that time of like, we were going for walks, I was maintaining what I had lost some weight prior, and I was maintaining. But once COVID was done, after the vaccine came out and I had been vaccinated, I just couldn't get a grip. I think that's when the depression really hit me. I was on this go, keep everything good, work, make sure my family's fine. And then when I put my guard down is when I really noticed that I took a real big turn. I think that I suffered from depression probably my whole life, and I just didn't realize it. And I'm someone who's very self-reflective, but I don't think that I realized that. And I think it happened so much over time that I didn't realize where I was.
The slow, mild, like it's easy not to be honest with yourself. It's easy when you're a working mother juggling a million things to literally put yourself on the back burner and almost, I don't want to use the word dissociate because I know that's like a clinical psychological term, but almost like, okay, I woke up, I did this. I'll never forget seeing one of my colleagues as a chiropractor, and he said, well, are you stretching this? And I'm like, no, like I'm waking up and I'm running to work and I'm getting my kids and I'm making their lunch. No, I mean, really? I'm not going to make myself a healthy salad. I'm going to make my kids this and my husband this, but no, I'm just going to survive. Right. Like, so perhaps with your, you just gave everything to everyone else. I don't know. I don't mean to put words in your mouth, but it's easy not to acknowledge what you feel.
Yeah. You want people to think you're okay with even your weight or with your mental health. And so you do a lot to put on the smile and just pretend. When this all came to a head for me, as far as the mental health component of my weight, it wasn't good at all. I was very self-isolating. My husband didn't even know there was anything wrong. My family didn't. My brothers and sisters had no idea. And I was having some pretty major issues. I finally realized I was so afraid that I was going to have a heart attack that I couldn't even imagine next Christmas, because in my head, I was wondering if I would even be around for that. But at the same time, I didn't know how to fix it.
Were you actually having clinical health problems because of weight? Or?
I stopped going to the doctor, and it was because I didn't want to hear from a doctor like, you're obese. because, like, when you're overweight and you go to the doctor and you're like, okay, you're obese, or actually what you see or what you'd say is morbidly obese. So you see that and you're just a failure. Mm-hmm. And you don't need anyone else reminding you of that and knowing that about you as well. So I just didn't want to even have anyone know that I wasn't okay. So I had stopped going to the doctor. But when I started feeling really bad, I realized I had to take control and I had to at least make a step. And so I did that. And I remember I started with a new doctor, and I sobbed through the whole first appointment. I just sobbed to the point where I could hardly talk. And she was so gracious, and she was like, okay, we're putting you on some antidepressants. And like, who isn't on them? It feels like so many folks are on them now, but like, that helped. At least that, like, the sun kind of peeked out from the clouds, at least. And, I know this is extremely kind of morbid, but it was what it was. I was so afraid that if I died, that I didn't want my family to have to get like an extra large casket. So like, that's where my head was. It wasn't that I was going to die. It was that I didn't want anyone to know that, or I didn't want my family to have to do that. And I didn't want anyone to have to lift my casket. Like, just that is what would be going on in my brain. So like, if you're in there at that headspace, how do you make yourself better? You can't get better. Yeah.
I think about like the negative self-talk. Like, sometimes negative self-talk is like something so simple, right? Like, I can't believe you ate that extra thing, or like, you can't even fit into your jeans. But this is like deep, dark, the depths of negative self-talk.
Yeah. It's
like,
not food, right? Like, my issue is not, it is food. It's manifesting it like that. But like, I think that it either becomes, or I don't know, it may have started as food, but then it becomes something so much more.
Yeah.
And you don't feel like you belong. You don't feel like you're seen. You feel like you're so different than everyone. You don't feel like you matter. You don't feel like you're lovable. Like, all of that. And it's just constant. It's from the moment you wake up until the time you go to bed, of that reminder of all those things. And I see it like in our world. I think now that I've lost some weight and I'm thinking clear and I have so much more hope, it helps that, like, when I go to a concert, I don't have to spend weeks upon weeks worried if I'm going to fit in a chair. And if I don't fit in the chair, then the people around me are going to know that I don't belong. Or that I'm too big for that chair. Or, at work or at different events, they have shirts. Well, they usually only go like small to extra large. If you're lucky, they might have an extra small and a double XL. Well, like, that isn't going to fit me. And so you are reminding a person that they don't belong. Just like that, like in schools, uniforms. Like, 6th grade, played basketball. The basketball uniform didn't fit me. I didn't fit in a large. I was 6 feet in 6th grade. Like, my body type is not little, not only weight, but
your frame. Your frame.
My frame is not.
Yeah. We each are born with such a very, very, very different blueprint.
Yeah.
For the size of our body, what the length of our fingers, the size of our ears, how tall we're going to grow. And it's so crazy, because on the flip side of this is that I know several high school students who, if they could just grow 2 more inches, or if they could just gain 25 more pounds, I'm thinking more boys than girls, but like, to be tall and or big is that's a high accolade. If you're a football player, you want to be bigger and taller and bigger and taller, but to be a female, completely different experience.
Yeah. And how do you feel feminine? Like, I never felt feminine. I remember in college, this guy is a friend of mine, and he like came up to me and he like pretended like he was going to tackle me, and he kind of pushed me. And it was a joke. I made a joke. I mean, I have a good sense of humor. So I remember taking his hand and making him like touch my arm and like pet my arm. And I would say, gentle with Catherine. Catherine's a girl. You have to be gentle. And it was a joke, but it wasn't a joke. Like, I don't want to be tackled. I'm not your buddy.
Right.
And I was always treated very much like not a female. And I think all of this stuff like plays into it. You know,
my gosh,
totally.
it's layers and layers and layers. And, you know, we talked a little bit about your like vocal music talent and the fact that in high school, like you were not cast as like Cinderella or, you know, I
was the ugly old hag. Like literally that was her title. I played her well, but I was the ugly old hag. So constant. And a lot of us have had these experiences. Why mine became such a big deal, I don't know. But I don't want to say like I'm a victim and then that's it. That is part of it. Things happen. But then you allow things to happen. And then you make poor choices and you get stuck. So it is this shared responsibility that I have. Now I feel free. Like, you know, thinking about traveling, the first thing I would think is I can't travel because am I going to fit into
an airplane seat? Or
I don't want to be that person. I don't want someone next to me being like, you know, I have this bigger person next to me touching me. So I wouldn't want to travel. And now I'm like, I can do whatever I want. And
what a beautiful freedom.
And yeah, I think like that word freedom for me has been like the thing that keeps coming to my mind of like, I feel free. I don't feel bound. I'm not a prisoner in my body. I can move. My family isn't leaving me behind. In fact, now I hear like, you're walking fast. You know, like I hear that. Yeah. Which is nice. I mean, that's a good problem for me. And I mean, don't get me wrong. I work with young people. Many of them still walk faster than me. But I don't have to always be wondering, how am I going to control this situation so that I can perform the way I need to perform without anyone knowing that I'm struggling?
You know, it is so mind-boggling to me that this has like basically hijacked your brain and your mind and your thoughts and like every decision that you make. Like what a prison to be in.
Yeah.
You know, would you say that there have been covert or overt discriminations because of your weight in circumstances as an adult?
You know, like my professional career, I don't think so. I have something really good going for me, and that's that I do think I have a personality that does stand out, and I am funny, and I'm not afraid to be with people, and I enjoy people. And so that has helped me immensely. But I've learned how to do that because of my appearance and my physical limitations. I've had to use that to be, you know, to kind of even that playing field. I don't know if anyone even realizes it. And I don't know if it's appropriate to use this term, but like microaggression.
Okay.
I mean, there are many people in our world who are suffering from microaggressions and who are dealing with that on a day-to-day basis because of race or ethnicity, or sexuality or gender. But I think there is microaggressions for those who are obese. Like I said, you know, the uniform thing or the t-shirt thing. Or in your office, what kind of chairs do you have? Do you have chairs with arms? And is that the most friendly? We have no problem kind of looking at, we need to make sure that everyone from, you know, how do I say this? We have no problem trying to accommodate people in many different situations. However, I think we miss those people who are physically obese, like who are obese. And I don't know if it's because we feel like, well, they've allowed themselves to be that way. Or if they don't want to be that way, then they need to change it.
And true cultural discrimination.
Yes. You don't realize that, when you have chairs and they have armrests, what does that mean? Or if you have a restaurant and you have all high tops, how is someone who is not thin going to sit there? Turnstiles. I'm just thinking of like normal, at your home, you're sitting outside and you have friends over and you give them these little tiny plastic chairs. And all of a sudden now your guest is trying to think like, am I going to collapse this? Or can I even get my back end into it? And I don't want anyone to know that that's where I'm at.
Yeah.
It's that microaggression and a reminder that you don't fit in. You don't belong. You are a failure. I used to think that my brain had to be the first thing that got better and then I could lose the weight. And I think some of that is true, but I don't know how you do that if you can't maybe lose some weight first to feel like you finally kind of have some freedom. And then your brain can start to come along. At least in my experience, the weight first had to kind of come off. And then I was able to kind of feel the freedom and understand myself a little bit.
Have you been kinder to yourself? Have you been able to change the narrative in your mind and your brain?
I'm very open about this, so I don't mind sharing how I've lost weight. I've tried all kinds of diets and different kinds of healthy eating and lifestyles, and they may have worked for a very short time, but nothing has been able to get me a good amount of weight, nothing over a span of like a year. It might be like maybe 3 or 4 months where I was on something. But I did start to take, because I was having issues within like my blood sugar, higher blood pressure. So I did start on the injections. And so that has been how I've been able to lose weight. Don't get me wrong. I still have to do the work, but that has been enough to change my brain. And I don't have the food noise anymore. And I didn't realize that was a thing until I did have it. And so now, like, if I'm at work, I can, if they have like a plate of cookies out, that doesn't talk to me. I may go a whole day and not even have one, or maybe have one or half of one. And then that's fine.
You can stop at a half
stop,
of a cookie.
And I don't think about it. It's just not nagging me all the time. So that has been the trick for me, has been the food noise. I didn't realize when people said like, well, just have one. I thought, what are they on? Like, and I want that, like whatever they're on.
Yeah.
But I didn't realize that was normal. I didn't realize that there was something not quite right with me. And so when that stopped, then I was able to make better choices.
So we talked a little bit about this food noise, and I love Jamie Kern-Lima, and she and Oprah did this special, which I unfortunately didn't have the opportunity to see, but she talks about it a little bit in her book. And you said that you felt so much like validation when you did get to see that special. And I think what you said is that, that I'm normal. Like, this is like so many people have the same quote unquote issue, or the same food noise, or the same, struggle.
Yeah, I watched it. I sobbed. I didn't even cry. It was like that ugly cry, I just sobbed through it. I had to watch it a couple of times so I could actually catch everything. I did sob through the whole thing because I thought, oh my gosh, someone has put into words what I felt. And I didn't know other people felt that way. And that was an amazing moment for me of realizing that there is hope, one, and two, like, I'm not, it's not that I'm not normal. I am normal, but I'm abnormal. I'm abnormally normal. And that was a really that was a pivotal moment, I think, for myself, just to understand a little bit more about me and that I wasn't a failure.
Yeah.
That it wasn't that I was lazy.
No, absolutely not. Those people who love you, they see you.
Right.
They don't see a number on a scale. They don't see the size of your clothing. They don't see a physical creature.
Right.
They see you. And I think that so many people need to start by loving yourself enough to say, I want to be free, or loving yourself enough to say, I'm going to change the energetic cellular being of who I am, because I am not bad. I am not a demon. I'm not a degenerate.
Yeah.
It's so I am the queen of self-deprecation. I use it as even with my patients, I know they see my size, I'm not like 110-pound, weightlifting chiropractor. And we probably, all of us who are overweight, have that always in the back of our mind. But, if I could share, I want you to feel like you're worthy, no matter what that scale says, no matter what it did say. You have contributed to society in such beautiful ways and raising this beautiful family and done all these things. It breaks my heart to think about all of those limitations. I can't do this because of this, and what would happen because of this. And
I still have that bad view of myself when I look in a mirror. Body dysmorphia. I don't know if I'll ever be. I don't know how that changes. I probably need to go to therapy at some point in my life, but I don't know how that's going to change. You asked about has all of that kind of changed, that self-talk? And it hasn't. Just recently I went on scale and I was like, oh my gosh, I'm up 4 pounds. And I just went into this tailspin of see, you can't do this. And look at your double chin. See, your double chin is back. And I just felt icky all day. And then I had to really kind of stop and go, Kat, 4 pounds. Tomorrow morning I might wake up and,
it's gone.
And it was. The next morning I got on the scale, it was gone. I was right back down. So, yeah, I struggle with that. I struggle with looking in the mirror and not seeing. I know that what other people see is not what I see.
Even after 110 pounds.
I see a difference. I do see a difference, but not. There was a friend lately who asked if I wanted to, if they had some pants that they don't fit in anymore because they've lost a bunch of weight. So they said, would you like these pants? I hope that's not offensive. And they said, no, it's not offensive. And so they were like, great. I'll give them to you. One of the jeans is a size 14 and the other is size 12. And I just kind of choked on my own spit. And I was like, I think my size is probably divisible by 12, and I joked about it. I can't even imagine being a 12. I don't think I've ever been a 12. I literally feel in my life that I went from a 3T, a toddler, to a 22. I just feel like there was this moment in my life that I went from a toddler, from Osh Clash Bagosh to the plus size section at Fashion Blog many years ago.
But this goes to show that your body dysmorphia is so strong because this other woman looked at you and said, Kat's probably a size 12 or a size 14. Yeah. So, it was that disconnect.
And my size is nowhere near 12. Now, is it out of the realm of possibility? I don't know about a 12, but a 14, no. I'm not that far away, but I can't even wrap my head around them. I've never been able to go to a regular store and buy a shirt or a pair of pants. Heck, even socks. like just like cute socks. Like when you get overweight, you can't fit into those. So like, I just can't even imagine. I mean, now now I'm able to do some of that. And so now I'll probably have another issue on my hands where I'll probably be buying all type of crap. My husband is like, what the heck? But,
thrifting.
Yeah.
Thrifting is the answer.
yeah, you can't do that when you're bigger.
Some stores have some plus size thrifting stuff, but yeah. Do you have a number or a size or a goal, or are you just on this journey and you're seeing where it takes you?
I've had some smaller goals and I've accomplished 2 of them. And I'm not far from the next one. And the next goal that's like the next one that's within my reach, I always thought, man, if I could just get to that, like then that would be great. But I never felt like that was a possibility. So that is a possibility for me. The next thing in my journey now is I really need to start exercising and working out, because like I don't want to just be hanging skin. I'm older too though, so I don't know like how's my skin going to snap back. And so I need to start doing that. I'm much more active now, but I need to be even more active. So like that's now in my mind, like that's my next goal is I want to start becoming more physically active and lifting weights and building muscle now that I've been able to burn a lot of fat. And then I'll be able to probably accomplish that next goal. After that, I don't have anything in my mind. After that, sure, I know what the government tells me should be my goal. I don't think that I'll probably ever be at that weight. Again, my frame is not still like that.
No.
But I just want to be able to feel good. I just want to be able to buy clothes at a normal store. I'm not asking for a lot, but I just want to feel like I fit in. I don't want to stick out. And if I do stick out, I want to stick out for something good. I want to do theater. I haven't wanted to do theater because I didn't want people looking at me. And I was afraid of what kind of costume they would put me in. So I want to do those types of things. I want to be happy. I am happy now. I'm much happier. But I want to be even happier than I am now.
Well, Kat, I truly believe that no matter what our age, we can fulfill any dream that we've had. And that's my wish for you. That is my wish for you, that you can stop all the negative self-talk and just love yourself so much like other people love you and allow the world to see you. Like, I can't wait for you to be up on that stage. Thank you so much for being so vulnerable and giving us this time and this sort of look into your experiences. I really know that it's going to touch a lot of lives because there's so many people with the same struggle. And so, thanks, Kat.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Thank you so much for listening. If you've enjoyed this podcast, would you please rate it, review it, like, or subscribe? You can find me on social media at wautierwellness.com, Dr. Stephanie Wautier on Instagram, or Wautier Wellness Chiropractic and Massage on Facebook. And I'm so curious where your next conversation will take you.